Hello and welcome back to another video. In this video, I wanted to talk about how linguistics plays a huge role in the spiritual path. How words can mean different things when, especially the words relating to the subjective reality, can mean different things, completely different things to different people of different traditions and different cultures, and how this uh, plays a very important role in the spiritual path. So, in order to first understand this, let's take an example of how words and their meanings evolve throughout our lives. So, when we listen to a word like love, it can mean different things in different phases of our life. Sometimes you can have complete disregard for this word, and sometimes you will understand this word in a very deeper sense, and sometimes you will find that you don't really understand this word at all. So, but of course, it is assumed that everybody is pointing towards a same object or a same feeling, that is love, but it can mean different things to different people. How does this play a role in our spiritual life, or in our path towards self-realization? Is that these words have are they evolve throughout our lives, and our relationship towards these words evolve throughout our life. So, for example, if a person, a teenager, when he um, hears a word called self, it means a completely different thing, and to when compared to a person who has meditated upon self and has come to a conclusion, or has tried to understand the self. So the word is the same thing and it points to the same thing objectively, but it means completely different things. So the experience of this word and our relation to this word values means a lot to the in the spiritual path. So this is what I want to stress on, and because it can give a completely different perspective of looking at this world, because our world and our life is mostly made up of words. We cannot live without them, and this is the basis of our personality. It is the words that we say and the word that we think about when we are alone, and the words that we use when we try to communicate a certain experience. And eventually, you will find yourself questioning these words that you have accumulated in your life. And it is very important to question the meaning of the words that you choose, because, first of all, in order to increase depth in your spiritual life, it's important to understand how you are using these words. It's very important to understand this, because a lot of us are in a misconception of many words, and in these misconceptions we derive false conclusions and get into false arguments about things which actually mean the same things. The majority of the religious people are fighting among themselves only because of a misunderstanding and a miscommunication, which is a very immature way of looking at life. The more you begin to move towards unity or to realize unity and oneness, the more inclusive you become. If there is any kind of exclusivity in your life, then there is something that you are doing which is wrong. Uh, it could be even your spiritual path. So, if you are following a spiritual path and it is excluding uh, certain other people, then there is something wrong with that spiritual path, or there is something wrong with what you are doing. We assume that the experiences or the spiritual experiences that we feel during a practice are due to the practice that we are following, or the image of the god that we are praying. But this is a very huge misconception. It is not due to the image, because this image in itself is created by the mind, and it is important to go past all these images that you create throughout your mind, and try to exclude yourself. So the mind is always afraid of the unknown, and it tries to exclude itself from other people, which is a way of self-defense, or a flight or fight mechanism, which which tries to believe in this path that we are on, or in this practice that we are doing, or in this philosophy that we are following. This leads to a very huge problem, that is imposition. First of all, the imposition of your spiritual path on another person is completely wrong, and it can backfire at any time. And there will always be loopholes and miscommunication and misunderstandings in imposing your spiritual path onto others. If there are a billion people in the world, these billion people have their own path that they are on, and every one of them is right. They are not astray. Uh, People are not away from their goal. They are going towards it. Everybody is going towards self-realization in one way or the other. Excluding yourself and thinking that a certain experience or a spiritual experience is due to the image of God that you are praying to, or the spiritual path that you are following, is limiting yourself, and it's a huge trap that the mind places in you. This is why it is very important to transcend the limits of good and bad. Not going towards non-duality is the goal. Going towards unity is the goal. And it happens only when you transcend duality, when you transcend good and bad, when you transcend yourself and other. You will go towards unity, or get close to it at least. And why is this? Because it, duality is the main reason why there are so many problems in the world. It is because we think that we are different, and we exclude ourselves from others. we somehow think that this spiritual path that we are following, or this religion that we are following, or this philosophy that we are following is exclusive and it's ours. And those who are not following this are astray or they are looked down upon. This is a huge misconception, and I see this in religious people and in spiritual people a lot. You need to understand that the temporary feeling of uh, exclusiveness or feeling that you are somehow superior to others is exactly that. It is temporary, and you can derive only temporary pleasure from it. You can derive only a momentary feeling of grasping the truth when in fact you have not really grasped the truth. And I see that sympathy towards a group of people leads to more convergence towards these uh, these people's philosophy or this religion. And this is actually a misconception. You do not adapt any philosophy or religion to move close towards God. God will give everybody the share of His love, and everybody experiences it regardless of their caste or their tradition or their religion or the amount of money they are making or the place that they are living. God will give the share of His love to everybody, and everybody eventually experiences this love. In order to reach the goal and the purpose, and in order to understand the truth, it is important to transcend small glimpses of peace and love. There should be a time when you don't seek bliss and love anymore, when you don't want peace and love. You should transcend it, because peace and love are just like heroin. You can follow a certain spiritual path and a certain religion and fill yourself with peace and love, but it is just like getting a dose of dopamine or getting a dose of heroin. You might as well just do heroin. Like, if you belong to a religion and if you are chasing this peace and love and thinking that somehow this peace and love is giving you, um, making you closer to God, it is wrong. Why do we assume God is only the giver of peace and love? He doesn't really care about peace and love, because there is violence in the world, there is suffering in the world. So you may experience a lot of love and divine feelings, and which is good, but don't ever associate this divine feeling or this love to the path that you are following. It happens regardless of what path you are following or what image you have created about God. So the goal of this life is to reach unity, to reach a state of oneness. It is not to exclude yourself. Only when you see that the alcoholic is also a part of God, or the drunkard, or the person who steals, or a sinner is also part of God and is also on a spiritual path that is as much divine as your spiritual path is. When you have when you actually feel that they are also part of God, then only and then and only then you are getting closer to God. It is not because of the spiritual path that you are feeling this love and feeling this divinity. It is because God wants to give you this, and everybody is going to get the share of their spiritual experience. Everybody is going to get it. So I want to show a way through words, through linguistics. I want to explain how to transcend words and language so that there is no misconception and miscommunication among these different spiritual paths in the world. The the cause of human suffering, especially in the places where religion is an important thing, is religion itself. And religion has a way of creating divide among people. This is exactly what has been happening since ages. And it not only creates divides between groups and human beings, it creates division between friends and neighbors and societies. And of course, there are the esoteric parts of a religion, but most of the people don't really look at the esoteric part of the religion. They look at religion as a method or a belief to grasp onto without questioning. Questioning is a very important aspect of spirituality, and don't ever feel guilty if you are questioning something that is supposed to be holier than thou. If you are questioning your beliefs and you are going against uh, certain groups through this questioning, then you consider yourself uh, on the spiritual path, on the right path. Especially when we are young, we are basically just following what other people are doing. Especially our parents, we're just basically just following whatever our parents have taught us regarding religion, regarding philosophy, regarding education, and we do this for maybe 25 years of life, but eventually you need to question things and start to have your own opinion. And only when you are on the right path, or when you are going towards your purpose, then you are accomplishing the divine plan. If you are following your parents, or if you're following a certain group of religious people, or if you're following your friend circle without questioning things internally, then eventually you will find yourself in a miserable position because you are not going towards the divine will. So, and questioning will eventually lead you on the words. This is the basis of reality. Words. This basic thing that we use to communicate with each other are words. And sometimes we go through life and years, decades, without understanding the words that we use. So I can write a paragraph and it can mean completely different thing to a person who is a teenager and a person who is 20 years old, or a person who is in his 30s. It can mean completely different things, because these words that I will use in this paragraph will have different definitions and different experiences based on different experiences. Especially the words that point towards a subjective feeling have completely different meaning for each and everybody in the world. So it's important to question our words and go deep. Uh, this is an exercise that I used to do, which is take hold of one word or one subjective feeling and write about it, whatever you mean exactly by it. And you will see that when this word is sounded in your mind, it gives a feeling of experience, a momentary experience. So, for example, God can give a certain experience when I close my eyes and think about God or contemplate on the word God. It can mean, or I can experience something that is based on my previous meaning of God, and this meaning usually evolves over time the more I have experiences with the word God. And eventually, you will need to understand the words that you use and transcend the words that you use, and understand that truth can never be found in the words. This truth can never be found in words, it can never be found in certain traditions or in certain books. I feel like truth is a very deep understanding of the source of the universe, and it can only be understood when you transcend words, because words can only lead to misconceptions, and truth cannot lead you towards misconceptions. And it's it's a very deep understanding of knowing what what and it's an instinctive realization which can never be expressed, because I can tell you a word and it will mean completely different to you, and I can never express the truth to you through words, because it will mean completely different to you based on your experience of these words. So if you have evolved enough in your spiritual path, you will know that eventually you will need to abandon your religion, you will need to abandon your philosophies, you will need to abandon your practices, because these things create exclusivity. They don't lead you towards unity. In fact, they lead you towards more and more separation from unity. Thank you for watching this video. I hope this video helped you gain certain insight into spiritual understanding.